Welcome aboard, cinephiles. I'm Titan. Today we watch the fantasy movie Day Shift. Bud looks like a pool cleaner, but in fact, he is a professional vampire hunter. And after masquerading, he took a weapon and entered the household. Although the vampires fight back desperately, Bud still succeeded in bringing together two vampires, one old and one young, to destroy and pull out their fangs and leave quietly. After going home to clean and briefly bandage the wound, Bud will have to face the cruel reality. And now he can't pay the rent and has parted ways with his wife Jocelyn. Besides, his ex-wife is planning to sell the house and take his daughter to Florida. In order not to be separated from his daughter, Bud decides to raise $10,000 in cash in a week to pay for his daughter's school and dentist's expenses. Because vampire teeth can't sell at a high price, Bud took the rest of his valuables and sold them cheaply to Troy, the pawnbroker at the end of the road. With nothing left, he can only contact his friend Big John. But he didn't know the blood-stained glass he left at the scene has become an important clue for vampires to hunt him down. Audrey, who used to be a real estate sales tycoon, always wanted to expand her territory. She even developed a special sunscreen to make vampires active during the day. She faces opposition in the ethnic group and never shows mercy. After discovering that the silver-haired old man had been killed, she immediately ordered her subordinates to find the perpetrator. On the other side, although Big John recommended Bud, he still can't get back into the Vampire Hunting League. The Alliance chairman Seeger's deliberate embarrassment also made him, who was asking for help, bow his head and apologize. The tactful Seeger gave Bud a chance but worried about him causing trouble. Not only did he stipulate a 1-week probationary period, but he also arranged a trade union representative to supervise him. Due to rejoining the Alliance, Bud can sell his teeth at a high price. However, after dues and guarantees are deducted, he only receives a small amount. In order to earn more commission, Bud would like to apply for a higher-paying night mission. But considering his track record, Seeger only allows him to act during the day. The desperate Bard no longer has the vigor of the past. He just wants to quickly raise money to keep his daughter by his side. Seth, who was placed beside him, is proficient in conditioning and purifying the body and mind, becoming Seeger's best informant. After preparing special combat weapons, Bud takes Seth and crouches down to a blood servant serving vampires. In order to avoid unnecessary casualties, Bud severely threatens Seth to stay in the car and stand by. But he didn't expect that during the fight with vampires, Seth would break in on Seeger's orders. Facing the terrifying scene in front of him, the inexperienced Seth is at a loss. Although he helps Bard kill the little vampire, he is timid and resolutely vomits and wets his pants. After returning home that night, preoccupied, Bud meets a new female neighbor, Heather, and he kindly helps her carry things, introducing the house number of his room. Bud picks up Seth the next day and gets ready to visit Troy's store as planned, but soon he finds out that Troy died tragically at his desk. According to the union's rules, Seth needs to report this immediately, but Bud, worried about his job, wants to delay filing. The only way to convince Seth is to tell the truth, and after learning of his situation, the kind-hearted Seth decides to help him hide the matter for the time being. Then the two are on the road and meet the high-level hunter Nazarian brothers. At the invitation of the brothers, Bud, who is desperate for money, chooses to join the armed trio. They quickly kill the vampire on the first floor and sense impending danger from the walls. Bud finally realizes that they have broken into a large vampire lair, and then without speaking, countless vampires rush towards them from all directions. Under heavy gunfire, countless vampires fall in a pool of blood. As the bullets run out, the Nazarian brothers activate various hidden weapons they have brought with them. It's just that Seth pees his pants again and can only wait for Bard and the others to rescue him. Although they achieve a lot in this trip, to the surprise of the four, a vampire is not afraid of the scorching sun outside. Seth, who inspects the scene, immediately discovers that the vampires in the house are actually from different factions. According to the habits of vampires, it is impossible for all factions to coexist in the same room. But Bud, sending the kids to the party, doesn't care about it, as he has become the target of vampires. Bud doesn't want to take his daughter out, but he is hindered by his ex-wife's warning. Nevertheless, he still brings his daughter to the party. Bud doesn't know that the agent his wife is looking for to sell the house happens to be the real estate company run by Audrey. As expected, Bud soon receives a call from Audrey. At the same time, he also sees enemies appearing nearby. So he takes out the tablet and puts headphones on his daughter. He quickly drives home. Although he gets rid of the pursuer behind him, what he doesn't expect is that Audrey has already been waiting at his house for a long time. Weak Bud is powerless to resist. He can only watch helplessly as his family is taken away and faces the transformed Seth alone. When Bud collapses on the steps, upon waking up from a coma, Seth, who has also been bitten, completes his transformation. Facing Seth, baring his fangs, Bud quickly reacts and swings a knife, cutting off Seth's head. But what surprises Bud is that Seth doesn't die. And upon discovering that Seth is still alive, Bud takes him along to continue the mission. Obviously, neither of them can reveal the truth to Seeger, but Bud suspects that there is an informant among them. So he returns to the apartment, ready to take revenge on the leaky new neighbor, Heather. However, Heather has no ill intentions towards Bud. She was transformed into a vampire by Audrey and is also controlled by others due to helplessness. She only betrayed Bud's whereabouts. Besides, she reveals that Audrey's reason for kidnapping the Bard family is that the gray-haired old lady Bud killed earlier is actually Audrey's elderly daughter. Audrey has also developed a sunscreen that allows vampires to be active during the day and plans to reintegrate the vampire race into the human world. With this new knowledge, Bard and Heather plan to eliminate Audrey. However, Seth suddenly interrupts, and after seeing him in action again, Heather quickly takes out blood vials from her inventory to share with him. After drinking the blood, Seth visibly improves. Even his mental state becomes hyperactive. To save his family, Bud follows Heather to Audrey's lair and faces more powerful vampires at night. Bud, eager to save his family, shows no signs of fear. But as the enemies gather, they are quickly attacked by intense gunfire from the opposing side. Cornered, they are fortunate that Big John arrives just in time, driving in with his favorite Gatling submachine gun and wiping out the enemies in front of them. Under Big John's cover, Bud rushes to the underground factory in Austria and sees the production of sunscreen and special weapons online. With these special weapons against vampires, the two enter a deeper cave. But in the face of vampires, the weak duo find themselves in trouble. Big John gets bitten by a vampire during the fight. With the Australian altar within reach, Big John shoots down the gate to cover Bud's advance, and after running out of bullets, he detonates the special explosives on his body. Bud is heartbroken by his partner's sacrifice, but hasn't time to grieve as Audrey's men attack. Fortunately, Seth and Heather arrive just in time and work together to defeat the enemies. Bud finally finds his wife and daughter, but against a powerful enemy like Audrey, human Bard is no match at all. Just as Bud is about to meet his end at Audrey's hands, his ex-wife suddenly pierces Audrey's chest with a wooden stick. Taking advantage of the distraction, Bud fires the last shot. Although Audrey is prepared, she lunges at Bud again. What Audrey doesn't expect is the silver wire fixed in the stone corridor, which prevents her from reaching Bud. With Audrey's unwilling demise, Bud successfully rescues his family, and with Seth's help, he counters Seeger's accusations. As a vampire now, Seth releases a powerful display of pressure and leaves with Heather. As the truth unfolds, Bud's wife and daughter choose to understand and accept. Besides, Big John escapes from the sewer and walks into the gentle night with a smile.